So today, like I said before, what we're going to talk about will be the most important exercise to do if you have a lower back pain. And today's call will be leading by Michael. Michael been running a private gym for about 25 years himself. He's master in biomechanics, imbalance, and asymmetrical training and athletic performance as well. All right, so give it up to Michael, and as we welcome him.
How are we doing? Danny, that's great news, man. I love it. I see a smile on your face too.
Yeah,
That's
man.
tells us
It's
everything,
been
man.
great. It's been good.
It's good, man. Very good. Very good. So talking about the 90-90, I mean, Danny works with me, so he knows that I kind of start with the 90-90 at all times. I mean, the 90-90 for me is the one exercise that I'll never let go. I mean, you can take the 90-90 wherever you want to go, but I think it's just a great place to get neutral, especially if you're forward. It gets you back, it gets you breathing, it teaches you um, how to breathe, right? It relaxes your neck. I think a lot of the times what I see with my clients or online and in person is that people's neck and lower back, they turn on immediately. So they're able to exactly see when that turns on, and relaxing that neck is a big part of the process of getting out of fight or flight. Secondly, obviously, if we want to attack getting neutral first, right? A lot of times, we have some sway backs, we have some anterior pelvic tilts. I want to deal with that sagittal plane first before I start attacking anything asymmetrical. So getting us neutral is a huge start. But I'd like to actually show you today. I mean, I think one of the main things I want to do is kind of show you how I teach it. Um, Danny, do you have any interest in possibly, since we've worked together, helping me out?
Yeah. Yeah, let
Perfect,
me go
man.
get my stuff.
I actually have something to win for myself yesterday. I had one of my clients, and he happened to be in his gym. It was a new place for him, and we started doing it on it's kind of like a sliding glass door. And he put his feet up on that sliding glass door, and I kind of felt like he was able to feel those contacts more. And it seemed, if you have a double glass door and you don't mind smearing it up a little bit, but I love trying to get this, when we talk about the foot are buttons, right? They hit the ground first. They're going to be buttons to the rest of the body to do what it needs to do. So getting that big ball, that little ball, that heel, is very, very important from the get-go. And a lot of us have a hard time getting to one side, mostly to the inside edges of our feet. So just being able to teach that right off the bat is huge. So Danny's already got his shoes, socks off, which he knows me already. I love socks off. If you have socks on, you slide, right? So I don't want him to slide. A couple things that I see with the 90-90, I often I try to teach the things that I see people have faults with right off the bat. Sometimes what I see is that hip or the butt is not close enough to the knees, but you're not at a good 90-90. So you want to make sure that your knees and your hips are in line. Okay. You want to make sure that your feet and your knees, you're going to bring them down a tad, then just your feet down a little bit and kind of get that good 90-90 position. He has something in between his groin here, right? And we're going to just, at first, we're just going to get it to go align us. If we need to open up that back space, right? If we're compressed in the back, we're going to actually add a squeeze to that. But what I have my guys do is I literally have them pick their toes up. A lot of the times when we have people that are forward, you'll see those toes are kind of grabbing into the ground, right? They almost look like claws because their body's going forward. It's the only thing that the toes can do. So first thing we do is just wiggle the toes without actually moving the feet. When you start to do that, what's going to happen is you're going to sense the big ball, the little ball, and the heel a little bit more. Get the toes out of the way. A lot of the times we use our toes. They're not a very strong thing to use in the first place. We want to use that big ball. We want to use that little ball. We want to use those heels. Those toes are weak. Get them out of the way, and a lot of time they're grabbing. So I just have them play with their toes, wiggle their toes a little bit, sense their big ball, which is behind the big toe, sense their little ball, which is behind the little toe, and then find the heel. Okay, so you got that, Danny?
Yeah.
All right, perfect. Now, what I want him to do is try to just pick up that little toe. I want him to pick up the little toe and spread it away. Okay, so I'm taking that little toe and I'm spreading them apart from each other, and I'm going to try to sense the big ball behind the big toe. Okay, so he's going to grab the big ball into the wall like it's in sand. He's going to grab the inner heel. He's not going to lose the little ball, but he's going to feel more of the preference on the big ball and the inner heel. It's going to bury those two pieces in the sand. It's going to, if he's having a hard time getting, he could do a little squeeze to get to the inside edge. Now from here, I'm going to put I want his hands on his abdomen. A lot of the times what happens is when we go forward, right, our pelvis goes forward, our body feels like it needs to get back in space. Our center of mass is always, we're always fighting that center of mass. So if we're really far forward, I need to be able to sense and get back. What the body does, instead of using the hamstrings, it takes that sternum and it pulls it from the front. And that's how we get squished in the back in the first place. So we don't want to use our abs. That's the compensatory pattern that we added on through time. So his hands are going to be on his belly button to make sure that no abs are turned on when he picks these knees up. So he's going to grab the inside edges of his feet. He's going to drag down like he's got dog doo-doo on his inside of his feet. And he's going to pick up his knees a couple times. I want him to do this a couple times, and I want to make sure that the abs don't contract at all. So I want to make sure that he's getting pure hamstring work and no ab compensation at all. So he's going to do it a couple times. If he is getting abs, he's going to go back down and try it. And it gets hard. Your body, you'll realize real quick that your body wants to go into that pattern using the abs to get that tough, right? Instead, he's going to have to do it a little more gently, and he's going to do it more with his hamstrings. So once he has this, right, once he feels like his abs are out of the way, he feels like his lower back is actually flattening. The other thing is we don't want to pick all this up at one shot. We want that tailbone to tuck under a little bit, or if we're doing an extension-based one, we want to make sure that the tailbone's coming under and the lower back is doing something a little bit different. Okay, it's flattening out here. You got a nice flat back, Danny? Good. His neck is relaxed, right? A couple times I've seen people like that. They like to have something in their head. We want it in the neck. We want that chin to be facing the ceiling. Okay, now that he has his hamstrings on, right, he can take his hands. And now what I want him to do is I want him to slide it out to the very bottom rib on both sides. So he's going to come out a little bit. So he's going to take his hands away from his belly button. And he doesn't have to press hard. All I want him to do is sense that bottom rib, right? That bottom rib usually flares, right? That is a very malleable bone. What's happening here is air, wherever our pressure may be, is flapping that thing up. So I want to be able to internally rotate them and close. A lot of the time what happens is as our compensations get bigger, we try to inhale and the air goes, and if you're a right dominant person, mostly goes onto your left-hand side. So we want to make sure they are closed. So I want him to sense that. He's going to inhale quietly through his nose, no neck muscles turning on. He's going to give me a big open mouth sighing exhale. 6 to 8 seconds. Remember, we're not trying to do anything. Sometimes people will try to muscularly, get through this thing, and that's not what we're looking to do. The tension is coming from the exhale. So if you're getting a good 6 to 8 second exhale, your hands are going to sense that those bottom ribs are going to close off. That's what I want. I don't want any air going into my side ribs at all. Right? That's where it usually goes. That's where it's going to want to go. That's closed for business. Right? So he's going to keep right off the bat, just making sure that he's now able to get a full exhale. Right? So go ahead, inhale for me. Big, long sighing exhale. Feel those side ribs internally rotate and close, right? Thinking about not hard, but longer duration. He's going to pause for 1 second at the end of that 6 to 8 seconds and maintain that tension that he gathered up from the exhale. Pause, inhale through his nose. Yeah. Good job. Now, the whole time he still has inside edges that he's buried into the sand of his feet, pulling up a 1/4 of an inch on those knees. So make sure a lot of the times when we start to think about that breathing, we forget about what our legs are doing. This is a combo here. We want to make sure we're doing both things. Remember, I want to have that pelvis tucked as I'm getting that breathing down as well. Good. So now I feel like at this point, right, this is why we start here. It gets us in a good position. He's nice. If you look at what it is, this is what a stack looks like. His head is over his thorax, is over his pelvis, right? His breathing, you can see his chest is already expanding. You see the side ribs aren't really getting much action here. And I'm okay with the middle abs as we start to move this thing along, right? I'm okay. A lot of the time, these middle abs are that sternum, and so many people are getting pulled down. I want the middle abs to relax too. So I call it the T. The chest and the middle abs is where I'm getting my air, where I'm not getting my airs on the very side. All right, you can take a little break, Danny. Good job. Thank you. This is how I started. Okay. This is how I get somebody, number one, to get out of fight or flight. Number two, get that stack. Number three, make sure that they're using the right foot contacts and getting the hamstring versus the abs.
I want to ask you a quick questions. Now, yeah, the reason why I ask this because so many people ask me when I instruct them to do this exercise, why breathing is so important in this exercise, or why breathing is so important in general when it comes to fixing lower back pain.
So breathing, number one, is I mean, we could say that this exercise is the most important thing, but breathing is the most important thing, right? We live in fight or flight. I have two kids. I have three jobs. Thank God I just retired from one of them. But I'm a person that is in fight or flight a lot. So I got to actually do this myself, right? Understand this: when your body is in fight or flight, think about war, anything that you're looking at. When your body's in fight or flight, it is not going to take any recommendations. It's going to be everything on board at that point. So whatever pattern it already has within itself, it will not change. If I'm running from a bear, that is not the time where our body is going to say, let's try something new, right? It's not going to try something new at that point, right? It's going to go what it knows already. Everything's on board. Okay. So the first and most important thing is if I can't get you out of fight or flight, I can't change any patterns, right? We're here to change patterns, right? We all have a pattern, whether it be, just a left AIC, or it is an anterior pelvic tilt, or it's that tertiary layer where now your sternum has pulled you down and now you're smushed in the back. I got to remove them layer by layer, but I can't remove any layers and change any patterns unless our body gets out of fight or flight. Now, the other thing that's happening with breathing too is if we're in that fight or flight, it's that, right? Our diaphragm has a major part in this, right? If I'm trying to close Danny's lower ribs, right? And there's a diaphragm in the way because I'm more of an inhaler than an exhaler, then I can't close those ribs. So that exhale is even more important because I need that diaphragm to ascend and get out of the way so that my ribs can come down and close. Okay. So part two of that is that, biomechanically, to get what I need to get, I have to get that full exhale. That makes sense, Steve?
Yeah.
So yes, changing patterns and breathing is going to be, even before any of these resets, is the most important thing. And the majority of the population doesn't know how to exhale. I mean, I don't know if any of you guys have ever seen the device Comigo. So there's this device out there. I think it was meant for post-traumatic stress for veterans of war. And I was at this point, like, when I was doing this, when I'm doing this in person, it's hard. This stuff is hard because, number one, it's things that people don't want to do or they don't do naturally. So when you put them in there and they're already in fight or flight, if you're in an uncommon position that your body doesn't like, it's going to speed up that fight or flight. So the thing is I'm going to put you in positions that are helping you, but your body's already going to tense up because it's different than what it normally sees. So you not only have to get into this position, but now you have to own it. I call it owning that position, right? And owning it has to come from the breathing. The only way that you can own the position is by getting that 6 to 8 second exhale, that pause, that slight tension. The other thing I think what's happening with breathing, people think more is better. I mean, the world is more is better type of stuff, right? Like, hey, I feel something, let's get more. These type of resets are not that. We are not trying to right? That is not what we're looking for. If you do that, you will never get a 6 to 8 second exhale. You won't. Okay. You will run out of gas within 2 seconds and nothing that we need is going to happen. The tension that you feel is not a muscular tension that we're used to trying to put on. Okay. This tension is that those ribs closing. It's a side tension. It's subtle, right? And we just got to be able to sense it. Number one, that's why I put their hands on that lower bottom rib so they can sense that thing starting to close, right? Starting to feel where they shouldn't get air, where their body wants air, right? They're going to if they're in fight or flight, they're going to recognize that most of their air is going either to the left side, right side, or both of those sides, right? Once you learn how to close them and we put you in the right position, that air is going to open up those areas. Like you can stretch all day long. If I have a internal rotation test on my right shoulder, which I see is usually bad in most people, right? That means that this is collapsed right here. This is not getting air, right? It's great. Yeah, I could stretch it all day long and people are going to feel good for that couple of minutes, but I haven't really done anything structurally to change that compressed area, right? All I did was just give it a little bit of a break and let it stretch. but the breath itself has to get into that area over and over and over to open that area up. It's almost like I'm taking a pump. If you have bad IR with the right shoulder, this is collapsed. I need to get a pump in there and over and over and over. And that's how this thing goes away. It's not going to go away because you did a stretch. Okay. And that's where, I mean, stretching, and I'm not poo-pooing on stretching at all. Stretching it, you know, there's times that I like to stretch, but overall, it's not changing a pattern and it's not putting any inflation into an area that you want. So the breathing number one is going to make sure that we close those areas off. So that full exhale closes the area off. Pause, a slight inhale, right? We're not trying to guide it. I want you to sense it. Like when I have you in a position and maybe I'm trying to open up this area here, I want you to sense it, right? I don't want you to try to just pull it there. It's already going to pull it there. Everything is going to lead up to what your exhale looks like. If the exhale's not good, the air's not going to go where it needs to go. If the exhale's on point like we need to, the air is going to go where we need to, especially us doing our job, figuring out where you are short, where you are limited, right? We're going to go after those areas that you're limited. So when you're doing these resets and then all of a sudden this stuff should open up. I had a guy on the table the other day and I've been with, it's like, this really opens up in 10 breaths. Yes, it changes pressures, right? And it's going to open up. Now, granted, you have to change the pattern over time. One day it's not going to change, you know, but it'll change. You start to see that change. The cool thing about it is if you do it right, it immediately gives you feedback to make sure that you did it right, right? If you have a 45-degree, and I'm sorry I'm using this because it's just up here and I see it more often than anything. If I have a 45-degree internal rotation of my right shoulder, right? That's usually 70. If I'm not getting 60 to 70 degrees, that is where you start to get hurt, right? That 45 degrees, okay? If maybe you're in fight or flight that day, or maybe you slept wrong, or maybe the pattern got into you, right? That makes you more susceptible to getting hurt. Where if you have that 70 degrees, you're less likely to get hurt. That 25 degrees is big. I don't expect a 90-degree IR, right? But I can't have 35 or 45 degrees on a given day. That 70 degrees is going to allow you to do the things you need to do. You have to have space to move into space. If you don't have anything available to open up to move into, all you're going to do is steal it from the back, the neck, the knee, the shoulder. Other things are going to take that haircut. And that's really what this comes down to is we have to be able to have space to move into space. If I am trying to get to the right, I have to have space here to move into it. If I don't have that space, something like the lower back is why you're seeing lower back pain across the board, is because I don't have space available. So it's important that we do these to create that space so we don't get hurt, right? We don't, oh man, my lower back just went. Well, that's usually what happens is we're limited in space and now we have nowhere to move into it. So our back's going to take that haircut and that's where you're going to see stress and get hurt. Does that make sense? I know I'm going on a little bit of a rant right now, but I think it's important. It goes kind of with the breath. The breath is everything. The exhale is everything. We're not talking yoga stuff. What we're trying to do is get areas that are tight to be decompressed. I want to compress areas that are open, and I want to decompress and expand areas that are usually closed. And that's really where it comes down to. And that's why the measurements change immediately. Okay. Doing it over time is where you implement the pattern. And then that becomes your new pattern. After 30 days, after 45 days, you have a new pattern. Now everything else is going to feel weird. Right? Does that make sense? So,
Michael,
yes.
it makes sense. So it's the key here is the slow exhale is what I'm hearing.
You can have a little volume to it, but what I don't want to see is a lot of people again have that concept of more is better. So let me start really hard. It's not that. I want a sighing exhale. All right. A sighing exhale to me sounds like this. I'm getting volume out, but it's not like I'm forcing a ton out at one point. I want longer duration sighs versus somebody that's trying. I'm not trying to blow a candle out. I'm trying to keep a long duration sigh going.
So it's slow and controlled, right?
Yeah, everything.
And not letting it all out all at once. Slow and controlled. And you want to get up to 6, potentially even like 8 seconds, is what you're saying.
Yes, correct. And what do you think gets you out of fight or flight?
Yeah, well,
slow and controlled, right? So going back to Alvin's question again, right, is if I can't get out of fight or flight, I can't change a pattern. Not only biomechanically do I need to get that diaphragm to ascend and those ribs to close, but more than anything, I got to have the body has to be comfortable enough to accept the new change. Doesn't accept change. It's like a, it's like a mother that's overly nagging. It wants to keep what it has going. So you have to override that system by making it comfortable first. If there is no comfort in the system, there's nothing that will ever change in that system, right? It'll go back to the old pattern that you have. Does that help?
Yeah. And also just to summarize, now basically what I tell my client is breathing does three things. The most important thing will be down-regulate your nervous system. So we're going to be activating more of your parasympathetic nervous system, let your body to calm down and relax. So whatever we do next, your body is able to adapt it quicker. Now, the second thing will be really get your rib cage to calm down, right? Now, if you have really flare up rib cage, well, the more flare up your rib cage is, the more arch you're going to have around your lower back, right? So imagine this, the more rib flare you have, the more arch you're going to have at the back. But as soon as you close this down, well, your arch is going to close down with it around your lower back. Now, the third thing will be once you open up this space, now your upper body can rotate from side to side. Rotation is super, super important. Now, imagine this, if you walk like a refrigerator, right? You're not rotating your upper body. What is it going to do with your lower back? Probably not going to do well, right? So that's why when it comes to breathings, is the most important things when it comes to fixing your lower back pain. So 90-90 is super important, is the most important exercise to fix your lower back pain. And during 90-90, breathing will be number one factors when we're trying to coach people.
Right. So we're back in. His hands are on his belly. He's going to grab the foam roller. He's going to bury that big ball into the sand, the inner heel into the sand. His little ball's not coming off, but he's grabbing the inside. He's dragging down, picking up his knees about 1/4 of an inch. Right. He's getting those hamstrings on, those abs. He's already got the breathing down, right? So usually I have him put him on the belly, then I have him put him on the side. And then we could take those hands, now that he has that, like for Danny, he has an IR issue, and most of us do. Most of us lack IR. So we want to get that air into his chest. So I have some yoga blocks here for him. He's already rocking and rolling with me, right? So he's going to put his hands out to the side. He's going to put his hands on that yoga block. You do not want to put your hands, because most of us don't have that range of motion. So if we have to fling them all the way back to the floor, what's going to happen? It's going to start a stress response, right? I don't want stress at all. I'm putting his hands on something so he can just be relaxed. I don't want to turn on any tension because I'm trying to remove it. So his hands are in a position now. He already felt what it felt like to get his ribs down. Now I'm taking his hands overhead a little bit more. So now you're going to feel that rib flare even more. As much as I go up overhead, that's where that flare is going to come in that lower back. So I need him to make sure that he's still pulling down so that his lower back's not doing it. Think about when we go up overhead, most of us don't have that range. So we think we do, but we just dive right into our lower back to get it. That's not the way we want. That's why those hamstrings have to be turned on, so we're not stealing it from the lower back doing this. But secondly, those ribs are up, so he's now has to spend time exhaling. Even maybe I tell them, okay, I need a bigger exhale than what you were giving me before, so that we can ride those ribs down. So he's going to inhale through his nose, big long sighing exhale, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Pause, hold that tension. Inhale quietly through his nose, and you're going to see, look at Danny's chest and middle abs. Those middle abs, that T, I call it the T, from belly button across your pecs, okay? Where this is, straight down, that comes up together, and nothing goes in the side. And what we're doing here is if I want to make sure that his IR is getting better, I'm just going to inflate that chest from here. Good job. Work, Danny. Good job. Keep those hamstrings on. I constantly, you got to think about it yourself, but always think about, okay, let me re-grab the inside edges. Let me drag down another 1/4 of an inch just to make sure that you keep that maintenance of hamstrings, right? So lower back is not giving us the ability to get our chest up. So what I'm trying to do is get his sternum up. People that are pulled down and lose IR because that's how they found a compensation to get back. I'm trying to genuinely pull that chest up without the lower back doing it, right? So if I can pull that chest up with a tuck and still have my lower back stay neutral, then I am now stretching it out. If I pull it up and just go into my lower back, I haven't done anything genuine to change that pattern. All right, he's doing a great job. He's killing it. Now with Danny, I mean, I don't mean to go too far in the weeds here, but you can do whatever you want. The 90-90 is great. He can reach his hands forward. He can reach his hands at 45. If he wants to say he wants to get some more lower back and some of his back, he can reach his hands at 45 degrees. If he's into his right hand side, I can take his left hand and point it right to the wall. So take your left hand. We're going to reach it to the wall. And now I can say, okay, Danny loves to get stuff into his left quadrant. I'm going to close his left quadrant, but keep his right quadrant on. And now from here, we're doing the same thing. He's going to feel like that oblique on the left side is closing a little bit more because that's usually what opens it up. But his right side is now open. What do I have? I'm closing left side, but I'm keeping this right one wide open so that air can go right where I need it to go. Okay, right where Danny doesn't get air. Okay, if I want to play around with his, you can put your hands back, Danny. If I want to play around with him shifting, right? So maybe Danny's in his right-hand side. I can ask him, okay, Danny, can you take that foam roller and put it up towards your knee so you can grab the knee a little bit? And this is, I would, you know, there's some, this is, you know, a little bit more advanced. I don't want you to just throw this in your program today. I'm just showing you where the 90-90 can go from here. Is if I have him do a left abductor pullback, if I have him do a right glute max on his sideline, and then I might bring him back here and see if he can do that in 90-90 so we can knock it all back. So he's going to put his hands back onto those. Can you put them on the foam pads? Because he still needs chest. You know, if his shoulders IR is not good, I still want to open that chest. But now I'm going to start to shift him. So I want him to take his right knee and go up and pull his left knee back. Maybe we went through the adductor pullback and a glute max. And now I'm going to have him just shift his hips to the left. So his right knee's going up, his left knee's coming back, and I have his upper chest open up. I mean, this is, you can throw so many different things on this exercise. It's great. It's interchangeable for anything. But now I have him just getting into his left side. If somebody can't get into their left side, I have them into the left side with their hips. I have their chest open. I can then have him point his hand back, the left hand back to the wall to close that left side, right? And sensing, you know, Danny knows he needs to get a lot more air into his right chest wall. And you can see that chest wall is now expanding more and more. He's sensing it and he's feeling it. And you want to do a IR test for me, Danny? Flip over to the other side. Let's just do the right side, see if we got some good change or not. Elbow to the side. He's got something in his neck to make sure that he's doing everything the same way. He's got his left hand on his right shoulder so it doesn't pop and he doesn't cheat. And he's just going to go nice and slow. When he feels like his shoulder is about to move, it's over. Good. He's looking about 60, 65 degrees right there. And like I said, you know, for somebody that has from times has a limited right IR. I mean, he's right there. He's in that ballpark of 70 degrees. And that's all I'm looking for. If he has 70 degrees, he's going to be in good shape. He's never going to have the most IR in the room, but he can't have 35 or 45, which is maybe where he starts. And then we get him to 65 and 70, and that's going to take care of a lot of problems going forward. Thank you, Danny, so much. Appreciate you. Love your win, too. That 90-90 position starts you getting you neutral first, because if we can't get you neutral, doesn't really matter if you can shift from side to side. I got to get you neutral first, right? So once you get neutral, then you have to go after which side you lack on, okay? For most of us, for me, I have to be able to, even if when I'm driving, I see it the most because my foot's there. Like I have to sit there and I think about the foam roller between my legs and driving my right knee in front of my left knee. Remember, my left knee likes to be in front of my right knee. My right knee I like to be in that side. That leg likes to be back. My left knee likes to be in a propulsive situation where it's forward. I just need to reverse all of those, reverse engineer it. And to be honest with you, you're never going to change what you like. We're asymmetrical for life. We're built that way, and it works for us. It's when you are too bound up in one side and you no longer can get out of that side and get into the other side. That's where these problems present themselves. So it's very important. And then as we remove the layers, again, the 90-90 does that. Then we go after where it all started. Where did it start? Which side could you not get out of? Which side could you not get into? Could be a bunch of things. Is your foot a mess? You know, a lot of the times people's feet are, you know, I can get all these changes on the table, and then I make them go walk 50 yards, and they come back and they've lost it all. Then their foot's locked. You got to deal with that. So there's a lot of intricacies to this thing where, you know, but again, if as long as you're doing your assessments correctly and you're not cheating them, you're going to be able to get out of this stuff. You know, you're going to be able to see it. I mean, I know Alvin does it too, but I want you to know. I want you to know what you have. I want you to feel. Like, I'll get to a point with the right IR. I want them to feel when their shoulder comes up. I actually push them into their shoulder so they know that what it feels like. Okay, I'm here. Oh, there's my shoulder. There's where it comes up. The more you get to know about your body, the more you're going to be able to help yourself in the long run.
And also, one thing I want to say too is now, whenever we design a program, right, we always want to make sure you're back to neutral first, and then we can start training your body to shift from side to side, and then we can train your body asymmetrically. Now, so imagine this, right? If you have a forward pelvis, doesn't really matter how asymmetrical you are, or you can't do much unless you become neutral first, and then we can shift your body from side to side. I'm exaggerating this motion, by the way, just for illustrate purpose. Okay, but you have to make sure bring your pelvis back from here to here, and then we can start shifting your body from side to side. Now, a lot of people, they just want to start doing a lot of those, fancy training or asymmetrical training or mobility training without bringing their pelvis back to neutral first. So at the end of the day, you're not doing much. You're just wasting your time.
One more thing, like what Alvin just said is very important. We lose the ability to rotate. Our muscles, everything is meant for rotation. ER, IR, ER. That's how every step has to be. If you don't have one of those, then every step you're going to compensate on, and that's where this builds up. But if anybody of you guys have ever watched the old, I think he passed away, it's Crocodile Hunter. You remember he would go up to the crocodiles and he would get them around their neck and he would put them into this arched position that we're into all the time. Why did he do that? Because the alligator likes to death roll you. It likes to rotate you. That's how it kills you. If he has you in an arched position like Alvin just showed on the bones, you can't rotate, right? And then if you get pulled into this position where you see later on in life where you're this, you definitely can't rotate. The more these patterns get a hold of you, the less you're going to be able to rotate. Unless you're going to be able to rotate, you look like that refrigerator and you can't get forward the right way.
That's great. That's a really good point. Rotation is everything. Anybody else got any questions?
Right now, sitting on the floor and just kind of on this call, like my mid back started to like heat up and get irritated. I mean, I don't, what is that? What's the cause of that? Why is my mid back, upper back still
Where are you at right now? If you look at your body, right, you're kind of on the ground in a weird position, right? Are you into your right side?
I'm trying. I'm sitting. Can you see? I'm sitting like this on the yoga block.
Do you feel like you're in your right side? You know, that's what it really comes down to, is sensing where you're at. Like most of the time, if we're sitting around, and especially if you have a weird position, and remember that going back to the 90-90, we could probably close off on this, right? A 90-90 position, we're putting you on the ground. That's giving you constraints so that it forces you to be in this position. But then you got to be able to stand up and do that. But sitting is a 90-90 position, right? Say you're in a chair and you're on your desk. That's a 90-90 position. Your feet are now on the ground, your back's not on the ground, but if you can kind of conceptualize that it's actually the same 90-90 position as you were in, put the foam roller in between your knees, grab your heels, drag under so to make sure that your pelvis is coming under when you're sitting versus you arching or you getting to your right side. Shift to the other position. Do these things as you're sitting there, right? And that's what I've been kind of throwing into a lot of my people's programs, the ones that sit, like, okay, let's get in your desk chair. Get in your desk chair. Let's put that foam roller between your knees. Let's act like your feet are against the wall. Grab the inside edges. Let's drag back on the carpet or wherever you're on. Tuck your pelvis under a little, just like you were in that 90-90. Okay, if you feel like you're to the right, shift your right leg forward, your left leg back. Get in your left side for a little bit, right? Just start to do this and model this in everything you do in life. Whether you're driving it, you're going to be driving. Right? This is where your body tends to want to be. Get out of it. Like, you got to be aware of it so that you recognize when you're doing it.
I just, I put the foam roller and I did what we did on the wall, and I shifted my left knee back and right forward, and it actually relieved it.
So every time you realize that you're sort of spending more time in your right side, or you're kind of shifting or like propping your head like this, which by the way, I do that all the time. It's just like I never realized that I do that. But now I'm going to be paying more attention. Kind of your advice is try to reverse that. You know, if you're on your right side, shift over to your left side, maybe just kind of counteract that for a little bit.
You're consciously aware. That's the first step, right? Isn't that the first step
Yeah.
to learning anything, right? You're now consciously aware of what you like and what you do. Now you have to become competent to be, eventually it's got to be unconscious competence, right? So it takes a while to get there. But the fact of the matter is, and I think this is what me and Alvin talk about all the time, how we want to approach, and get people to feel better. It sucks. It sucks being in pain. It sucks getting older and being in pain and have to go through daily life. But this is, it works. This stuff works if you understand it, you understand your pattern, but it's your pattern. It's never going to go away. Okay. It'll get better. You can change the pattern, but you're always going to have some kind of want or desire to be on the right-hand side. That's just, you're heavier on the right. You got a liver on the right. That liver changes things, right? Because my diaphragm can't go down on that side. It can go down on my left side. When you have, if it was reversed, like you're heavier on the right, the left side of your brain likes to be on the right hand side. These are things that you're going to have to live with every day, but you're going to have to now become aware of. There's a lot of things that come along with this if long term you want to stay healthy, but being aware of it and understanding it, and that brings us back to the 90-90 being so important. The breathing's there. The stack is the most important thing, right? If one piece comes out of the stack, my head goes forward, everything down the chain is going to have to change. If I am stacked, head over pelvis, head over thorax over pelvis, knees, everything is stacked, everything is neutral. I shouldn't have any stress front to back. Remember, if I go forward in one place, that front side muscle is really tight, right? It doesn't have any more room to move into. The back side is probably going to be not even able to function because they're so far away. The muscles want to be neutral. Neutral is the best. If something's tight on one side, this is what it looks like. If it's tight if it's loose on the other side, it's barely connecting. So the stack in a 90-90 position makes sure that we are equally distributed front and back. I think that's what this all really comes down to.
All right. Perfect.
Thank you guys for allowing me to present today. Thank you for allowing me to talk.
Yeah, again.
My wife will be happy too.
Everybody, let's actually give it up for Michael. I think this is a really great presentation.
Thank you guys.
Thanks, Michael.
First one.
Yeah, thanks, Coach. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, awesome. Well, me and Michael, we're gonna be doing something like this a lot more often. So be excited for that. All right, I'll talk to you guys later.
See you guys. Nice meeting all of you.